I am the biological daughter who was switched at birth and recently brought home after years of being lost. Yet, on the very day of my official return, the imposter daughter, the one who had lived my life for all those years, happened to accidentally slip and tumble down the stairs. The entire family was in an uproar, frantically rushing her to the hospital. The welcome party, originally prepared for me, was instantly abandoned, leaving me alone and adrift amidst a cold, deserted dining table, with the decorative lights dimmed. The servants looked at me, trembling, their eyes full of pity. But they didn't know I wasn't trembling from fear, but from sheer exhilaration, unable to control my shaking body. Because I was the true White Lotus. A demonic-level White Lotus, innocent and pure on the surface, but dark and ruthless within. I had waited a long, long time for this game. My dear daughter, you've suffered so much all these years. In the silver Rolls-Royce Phantom, Mrs. Gu, an elegant lady, clutched my hand, tears streaming down her face. Now that we've found you, your father and I will surely make up for all the deprived years. My father, Mr. Gu Hankai, the head of the Gu family, spoke in a voice that was rarely so gentle. I held my mother's hand, my eyes welling up, choked with emotion as if I had just endured a great tribulation. In truth, I was overjoyed. They were giving me far too much. With just one DNA test, I was like an unexpected lottery winner. The Gu family had long discovered the child's blood type didn't match, tracing biological records for years with no success. Then I appeared. Don't worry, mother and father, from today on, I am Clara Gu. Though I couldn't be with you all these years, I will spend the rest of my life repaying and caring for you both. I spoke, my voice choked and trembling, my eyes sincere and utterly pitiful. Hearing this, my mother, thinking of her biological daughter suffering outside for so many years, could no longer hold back. She rushed forward, embracing me and sobbing uncontrollably. Now that you're back, tonight we'll have a welcome party for Clara, and the whole family will be reunited, all right? Lily is also waiting at home. At the mention of Lily, my father's voice softened slightly. Yes, Lily was the daughter the Gu family had mistakenly raised for 20 years. Years of raising create deep bonds. Even if not by blood, the affection is profound. Whether it was real or fake didn't matter to me. Who knew that as soon as we stepped through the door, a panicked cry rang out? Oh no, the eldest young lady fell down the stairs. It seems her leg is broken. The butler rushed out, distraught, to deliver the news. Mommy, Daddy, it hurts so much. Wah! Lily Gu cried, clinging tightly to the butler. I looked at the girl being carried in the butler's arms' delicate features, a fragile and vulnerable appearance. At first glance, she was indeed a picture of a meek and pitiable green tea girl. However, her face was completely unmarred, yet her limbs were covered in glaring red scratches. Her watery eyes met mine, a hidden defiance lurking beneath her innocence. I quietly chuckled to myself. Oh, I've met a colleague. Lily Gu's injury threw the Gu parents into a frantic disarray. Amidst her pained groans, they completely forgot my existence. They rushed her to the hospital, leaving me behind. A stranger who had just stepped into this entirely unfamiliar house, all alone. Second young lady, the master and madam are just too worried about the eldest young lady. That's why they were a bit neglectful towards you. Please don't be sad. The butler knew my identity, and though his words were gently comforting, each one felt like a slap in the face. The way he addressed me, every single word implicitly affirmed that Lily Gu was the true eldest young lady, and I was an outsider. People like him are best at reading their master's expressions and acting accordingly. Seeing how devoted the Gu couple was to Lily, he immediately sided with her, helping to isolate me. I know, you can go rest. I waved him and the other servants away. Seeing that I didn't cause a scene, cry, or get angry, the butler was momentarily surprised. But as he turned away, he noticed my slight tremor, and a hint of mockery flashed in his eyes. He probably thought I was a country bumpkin who had never set foot in a luxurious mansion. Only he didn't know I was thrilled, about to enter the ring with a worthy opponent. I couldn't care less what others thought. The banquet celebrating my return was still steaming. Australian lobster, king crab, abalone porridge with sea cucumber. I sat down alone and thoroughly enjoyed the entire feast as if it were a grand celebration. Full and satisfied, I calmly went up to the second floor, chose the largest room, and enjoyed a good night's sleep. The Gu family's villa was over an hour's drive from the city center, plus the waiting time at the hospital. Roughly estimating, it would take 3 or 4 hours before they returned. Timing it perfectly, I slowly walked downstairs, curled up on the living room sofa, artfully arranging a corner of my clothes to look weak and pitiable. I waited for the fake green tea girl to return. The early spring night was still chilly. By the time my parents and Lily Goo returned, it was late. As soon as the lights were turned on, they saw me huddled alone on the sofa, without a blanket or pillow, my face contorted as if I were lost in a nightmare. "Clara, why are you sleeping here?" My mother rushed over, her voice full of sorrow. I rubbed my eyes as if just waking up and softly said in a sleepy voice, "I'm sorry, Mom. The bedroom is too big, I didn't know where to go. I was scared alone, so I sat here waiting for everyone and must have drifted off without realizing it." My mother's heart felt constricted, and my father's face was filled with remorse. Right, their biological daughter, on her very first day home, hadn't even had a meal before being left alone. In an unfamiliar house, with no one she knew. Surely, the servants wouldn't dare to be friendly with me either. Seeing that my parents paid me no mind, they certainly wouldn't bother. While they were still blaming themselves, Lily Goo suddenly let out a small gasp, drawing their attention back to her. "Sister, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your welcome party, sniffle asterisk." She raised her bandaged arm in front of my mother, immediately drawing sympathy back to herself. I immediately put on an even more pathetic act. "No, it's my fault, I should be calling you sister. It's my mistake, I deserve to die, please forgive me." I choked back tears, each drop clinging to my trembling eyelashes, my whole body seeming to collapse from remorse. Before Lily Goo could think of what to say, I quickly continued, my voice utterly sincere. "You've always been here at the Goo family home, and the butler calls you eldest young lady, while I'm second young lady. It's only right for me to call you sister." "The butler said that?" My father frowned. Though he didn't speak clearly, his attitude had already begun to shift. "I am the biological daughter who gave the butler permission to arbitrarily decide our seniority," I continued, both pained and understanding. "I understand. You've been here for 20 years and I suddenly returned. It's completely natural for you to fear losing mother and father's affection. But today, when they saw you injured, how panicked they were. I probably can't compare to that in my entire life." That line about profound blood ties made my mother freeze, surely blaming herself silently. She was probably thinking that she might accidentally make her biological daughter misunderstand that she was playing favorites. "Oh, sister, I'm so sorry, it's all my fault. If I hadn't come back, you wouldn't have fallen like that. I must be unlucky. As soon as I returned, I brought misfortune upon you." Sob, sob. As soon as she finished speaking, both my father and mother paused, lost in thought. Yes, they were worried, truly worried, but why at this exact moment? Just as Clara stepped through the door, Lily slipped and fell down the stairs. How could anything be such a coincidence? I pretended to step forward, wanting to hold Lily's hand, feigning an attempt to reconcile. But her defensive instinct made her subtly recoil half a step. Even that small movement was clearly seen by my parents. I noticed their eyes darken slightly. Finally, someone was realizing that this adopted daughter might have been too spoiled. The next morning, I was still disheveled, holding a bottle of milk, strolling leisurely down the villa hallway when a strange man suddenly pinned me against the wall, his eyes as if he wanted to devour me alive. "I hear you're the biological daughter the Goo family just found. Don't even dream of it, I will absolutely not marry you." His tone was so arrogant it grated on my ears, as if he was just short of hoisting a war banner. "I love Lily. Even if she's adopted, it doesn't matter. She's the only one I want to marry." His eyes were resentful and sharp, making one shiver, as if my very existence was an insult. I stared blankly at him. And who are you?" Honestly, I had just woken up. My hair was a bird's nest. I was wearing a rustic, northeastern-style patterned pajama set, and I was still holding a glass of milk, looking bewildered. Where did he even come from? He glanced at my garish pajamas, his eyes filled with disdain. "Stop fantasizing. I, Kevin Zhao, will never marry a girl with such bad taste as you." Ah, so it's him. Kevin Zhao. I suddenly remembered Mother mentioning that the Gu family had an old engagement with the Zhao family due to their long-standing friendship. And this young master was Lily, the fake heiress's childhood sweetheart, a typical Mary Sue romance cliché. I heard the Zhao family had fallen on hard times in recent years. If not for their distant connection to the Fu family, they would likely have been kicked out of the upper class long ago. It made sense. The Zhao family's desire to marry a daughter from the Gu family was simply a move to cling to power. Thinking this, I silently watched him as if he were a clown performing a show. Seeing no reaction from me, he yelled again, "Did you hear me clearly, Clara Gu? I only love Lily. Even if you are the biological daughter, it's useless. I will absolutely never love you." I put a finger in my ear, saying blandly, "So noisy." Kevin Zhao froze. "What did you say?" I looked him straight in the eye and calmly replied, "Where did a dog come from, barking incessantly all morning?" "You dare call me a dog?" His eyes widened, his face flushing crimson as if about to explode. I took a sip of milk and lazily said, "Say one more word, and I'll scream that you're harassing me." The atmosphere grew taut as a bowstring. Just then, a clear voice rang out from the top of the stairs. "Kevin, what are you two doing?" From Lily Gu's perspective, she had just witnessed me being pinned against the wall by Kevin Zhao, just like in an idol drama where the male lead cabedons the female lead. Kevin Zhao jumped, turning to see Lily standing there, stunned, her face filled with surprise. He quickly released me as if burned, stammering, "Lily, it's not what you think." Based on the logic of those romance novels, his parents probably heard the Gu family found their biological daughter and wanted to break off the engagement with Lily, so he was pressured to come here. However, looking at his attitude, it was clear he genuinely loved Lily. It was just a pity he was so blindly in love that he would insult me on his lover's behalf. Must be something wrong with his head. I suddenly cut in. "He came to find me. He said he wants to marry me. He said he only loves the Gu family's biological daughter. He only wants to marry me." I continued to wield my invisible dagger. "He also said you have no taste and shouldn't dream of him marrying you." Lily Gu, hearing this, let out a choked sob and ran away, her cries echoing through the villa. "Are you crazy? When did I ever say those things?" Kevin Zhao yelled, furious. I smirked. "You knew I was crazy and still came to pick a fight. I think you're not just a dog, but a husky." Kevin Zhao was so enraged he choked, his face beet red, and despite being nearly 6 feet tall, he trembled as if on the verge of tears. I watched him blindly chase after Lily, shaking my head in exasperation. Outsiders are often clearer-headed than those involved, but it was a pity that his so-called love might not be reciprocated. I watched Kevin Zhao humbly apologize to Lily Gu for 3 hours. A defiant man like him, yet in front of her, he was as obedient as a puppy. He had to beg hundreds of times, swearing on his life that he hadn't said those things, before she reluctantly appeased her anger. That evening, when my parents came home, the whole family sat at the dining table. Lily's eyes were still red-rimmed, looking pitiful as if she had suffered a great injustice. "Lily, what's wrong? Did that Zhao boy bully you again?" My mother looked at the girl she had raised since childhood, her heart immediately softening. "Auntie, it wasn't me, it was Clara." Kevin Zhao shot me an angry glare, then eagerly recounted, word for word, how I had framed him. "Era, you've gone too far. You clearly know Lily isn't well, yet you deliberately hurt her. 20 years of affection made my father unconsciously side with his adopted daughter." I bit my lip, my face on the verge of tears, and softly said, "Mother, father, it's my fault. I really shouldn't have done that, I just couldn't control myself." As I spoke, I took out my phone and played a recording. Kevin Zhao's harsh words echoed clearly, every single one, and his target was not Lily, but me. My parents' faces darkened. "You even dared to secretly record him?" Kevin Zhao was so angry that he raised his foot under the table to kick me, but before he could, my high heel stomped back at him, making him nearly squeal in pain. I calmly said, "Mother, father, you know that every morning I practice French by recording myself to improve my listening skills. I don't know how I accidentally recorded Mr. Zhao's words. I also don't know what I did wrong to be treated like this upon our first meeting. It's as if I deliberately stole my sister's fiancé, causing a rift between us. I was just too angry, so I lowered my head, my fragile and vulnerable appearance actually subtly trampling on Kevin Zhao's reputation. He wanted to yell but dared not, wanted to hit but couldn't. His entire face was distorted with rage. Indeed, he had a mouth but couldn't refute me. "What do you take my daughter for, Kevin Zhao? Even if you love Lily, you have no right to insult Clara like that." My mother slammed the table and stood up abruptly, her face cold as ice. My father also frowned, his gaze on Kevin Zhao becoming stern. He turned to look at Lily Gu, who was flustered and didn't know what to do, and said gently, "Lily, you're injured, just stay home and rest." The Fu family's banquet in 2 days, you don't need to go anymore. What? Father, no, I'm fine, I absolutely must go, Lily exclaimed, her voice losing control. If you don't go, then don't. Lily, at most, I'll stay home with you. Kevin Zhao immediately chimed in, trying to act like a model boyfriend, but Lily Gu showed no appreciation, merely giving him a long glare before anxiously turning to my father and pleading, "Father, I'm really fine, I've already recovered. I must go." I stood by, almost bursting into laughter. This foolish Kevin Zhao thought Lily was determined to go to the party to be with him, unaware that in her eyes, he was nothing more than an expired item. Lily Gu had never paid attention to a declining young master like him. She only approached him to find an opportunity to get acquainted with the Fu family, especially the third young master Kevin Zhao often mentioned, who was also the most likely heir to the Fu family's fortune. I looked at the two, outwardly affectionate but calculating internally, and couldn't help but chuckle. "Father, I've never been to such a big banquet, I'm so scared. What if I make a fool of myself? Father, please let Sister Lily go with me, okay?" I tilted my head, pouting playfully. My father immediately nodded in agreement. Lily's face instantly darkened. She hadn't expected me to help her like that. Both jealous that my parents doted on me and angry that I dragged her into this, her expression was truly a sight to behold. But I knew the real drama was yet to come. If she knew that in 2 days, at that party, she would lose all face in front of everyone, she would probably go back in time and strangle herself right then and there. I heard the Fu family was both wealthy and powerful, with complicated ties to political circles. To quickly familiarize me with high society, my parents asked Lily Gu to take me shopping for the party. In front of my parents, she was sweet and obedient, patting her chest and assuring them she would transform me into a dazzling, sky-high socialite. But as soon as we left the house, she completely changed. "Hey, I like this bracelet." She pointed to a bracelet displayed at the Bulgari counter, her eyes glancing at me with disdain. Her designer dresses were custom-ordered in advance, so this time, my parents only gave money to me, and she had to find a way to get it from me. I glanced at the price, 238 million. The sales associate, seeing her dressed head to toe in designer brands and me in an old tracksuit and sneakers, immediately assumed I was her assistant. So she rushed off to make tea, fetch water, and fawn over Lily relentlessly. I knew exactly what she was doing. I smiled kindly like a maid and said nothing more. "Anything else you like, sister, just pick it out," I said gently. Lily, hearing this, was overjoyed. She chose a pair of earrings and a dazzling red metallic necklace. 3 items, nearly 100 million. They looked small, no bigger than a hand, but sparkled brilliantly. "This Bulgari piece is truly exquisite, extremely rare, and absolutely enhances your beauty, making you look like a goddess. This is a limited edition, worn by an A-list celebrity on an international runway, perfect for luxurious parties," the sales associate praised lavishly, and Lily became even more smug. After trying on the items, she winked at me, signaling it was time for her biological little sister to pay. I feigned ignorance. "What's wrong, sister? Did dust get in your eye?" "Oh no, you have a dangerous sty." I pretended to be surprised. Good heavens, could it be a side effect of cosmetic surgery? I saw someone on Douyin with the exact same thing before. "Clara Gu, I told you to pay?" Lily was furious. I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, who am I again? Ah, your half-sister?" Then I chuckled, considering. "Well, that's true, but tell me, do I look like someone who gets exploited?" Before Lily could react, I pointed to the pile of items. "Didn't you tell me to look with you? Well, I've looked. Have you changed your mind now?" I flopped onto a chair and started playing PUBG. Lily finally realized she had been led by the nose, shaking with anger but unsure what to do. And I, for my part, had absolutely no intention of pulling out my card. Nearby, a few sales associates began whispering, "No money, but trying to play with designer brands. We thought we had a big sale, but it fell through. These living for show types are so annoying." The voices were low but clear enough for Lily Gu to hear. Her face turned white, then red, then sickly green, as if she had been slapped in front of the crowd. "You have mother and father's card, why won't you pay for me?" Lily angrily grabbed my shirt, tugging so hard I almost stumbled. Losing a ranked game and being yanked like that, if I didn't vent, I'd be unbearably frustrated. "Sister, do you still think I've stolen mother and father's affection? Even though you're adopted and I'm biological, I understand. Those who have been loved will fear losing it. that possessive feeling. I understand completely. You've chosen so many things, you must have gone over your allowance. You can borrow from me, of course, I said in a gentle voice, playing the green tea role effortlessly. But if I spend all the money and bring nothing back, mother and father will think you're selfish. I couldn't bear for you to get a bad reputation. Lily was so enraged she yanked the necklace off and threw it into the tray. I'm not buying it anymore. Ma'am, please be gentle, the sales associate exclaimed in alarm. Lily scoffed, grabbed her bag and walked away, but just as she was about to step out the door, I spoke up. Wait, payment, card swipe. Lily turned back, her eyes flashing with hope. I smiled sweetly. It's my first time attending such a big party, I don't have much experience. Thank you, sister, for helping me choose these items. I really trust your taste. I pulled out my card, paid smoothly, and then put all the items she had chosen into my own bag. Lily's face at that moment can only be described as if she had just swallowed durian mixed with shrimp paste, then microwaved. I personally swiped my card, enjoying the full VIP service until I walked out the door. The glittering shopping bags in my hands made quite a few people in the mall turn their heads. A country bumpkin wearing those things is just a waste of expensive goods. Lily Goo was so angry she almost spat blood. Seeing the round ruby necklace I had just put in my bag, she couldn't hold back and immediately launched an attack. I leisurely replied, donning my sunglasses, "Who knows, maybe that day I'll be so dazzling I'll blind people. Don't fantasize. Let me tell you, my parents specifically ordered things for me that are 100 times more beautiful." "Oh, I don't believe it, unless you transfer 50 yuan to me." I smiled, tilting my head mockingly. "You really are a fox spirit." I raised an eyebrow. "You flatter me. I admit I'm a charmer, but as for being a fox spirit, we're not so different, are we?" "You dare call me a fox spirit?" Lily Goo was driven mad by my provocations. She claimed the socialite world had its hidden battles, but it seemed meeting me had completely upended her game. She was so angry she immediately called Husky. I mean, Kevin Zhao. In just 20 minutes, that guy sped up in his bright red Porsche 911 with the ferocity of a tiger, clearly intending to seek justice for Lily. "Clara Goo, let me tell you, shut up. Don't think Lily doesn't have anyone backing her up." Husky started barking again. "Oh right, the king of spare tires always knows how to hide and wait for his moment. But hey, could you move aside? I'm still busy shopping." I looked at Husky's raging face. I sighed softly. "Is that all?" I slung my backpack on and walked into Tiffany & Co. as leisurely as if strolling through a park. Outside, Kevin Zhao was so angry that steam was practically coming out of his ears. As soon as I spotted a ring, Lily's trembling voice immediately rang out. "Honey, buy it." Husky, without thinking, immediately rushed forward to pay. I picked up another bracelet. "Honey, buy it." I tried on a watch. "Honey, buy it." The two of them seemed to be on an endless loop. As long as I touched something, Lily would call out, "Honey," and Kevin Zhao would reflexively pull out his wallet to pay. We moved from the jewelry section straight to high-end fashion. Lily looked at the large and small handbags filling her hands, her face radiant as if she'd won the lottery. And Kevin Zhao, just getting a little attention from his girlfriend, smiled as if spring had arrived, actively trying to please her without hesitation. Afterward, I visited a few more stores, and the two of them still followed, deliberately snatching up items I looked at, thinking they could drive me mad with anger. Until I pointed to a plum blossom dress, a vibrant red with green accents in a northeastern floral style, they froze. "Why aren't you buying any more, sister?" I happily tried on the rustic red and green dress. It was perfectly festive and vibrant, ideal for a wild celebration. "You should save some face for your little sister." Lily forced a smile, her face contorted as if constipated. "If you're giving it up, I'll take it then. Swipe the card, sister." I eagerly asked the sales associate to pack the item. At this point, Kevin Zhao's hand trembled as he felt his wallet. He suggested leaving early. "It's getting late. How about we stop here and go get some bubble tea outside?" His words sounded sweet, but his face was distorted as if he just had blood drawn. He might have money, but spending it without looking at the price like this, his parents would surely strip him bare when he got home. All right." Lily also felt her arms were about to break from carrying bags, so she forced a smile. Anyway, today's haul wasn't small, both were satisfied. "Wait for me a moment," I said, turning back towards the stores we had just visited. "Huh." The two looked at me bewildered. I went back into each shop, opened a QR code for payment. Sister, just scan this code for 3% of the total order. The sales associate's faces lit up. Oh my God, you're a godsend. These leftover items that no one ever looked at are all sold out thanks to you today. If you have more customers, remember to bring them here. We'll save a special discount for you. I grinned, my eyes crinkling. No need for a discount. I'm happy with just 3% commission. You have unsold inventory. I have a rick. It's a win-win for both of us. Clara Goo, the two shouted like thunder, so enraged their faces changed color. Luckily, I had already put on noise-canceling headphones. The Fu family's banquet was incredibly extravagant. At a luxurious 5-star hotel, champagne towers stood taller than a person, and crystal chandeliers sparkled in the grand hall. Everyone present exuded an extraordinary aura, splendid as if stepping off a runway. Rumor had it that the Fu family, long settled abroad, controlled most of the import-export activities in the Beihai region with immeasurable wealth. The second young master of the Fu family was famously cold and decisive, with a brilliant business mind. His recent return to the country had already shaken the entire industry. All the major families in Beijing wanted to forge connections. Unfortunately, the second young master was too low-key, rarely appearing in public. However, the most doted upon was the third young master, an almost anonymous figure. He was thoroughly protected, inside and out, to the point where no one knew his true face, height, or appearance. Even high society could only guess. This return of the Fu family was likely 80% for the third young master. Everyone wanted to seize this rare opportunity to meet the hidden heir of the Fu family. Just think, if any family were lucky enough to marry the third young master, wouldn't it be a leap to change the fortunes of their entire lineage? I saw the light in Lily Goo's eyes. It wasn't radiance, but ambition. And I also saw a net slowly tightening, waiting to expose the true face of a fake socialite. Unable to resist my parents' insistence, I regrettably gave up the vibrant northeastern floral dress and chose a modest pantsuit for the party. However, standing next to Lily Goo, I seemed to be drowned out by several levels of presence. I looked no different from a small assistant accompanying the eldest young lady. Lily Goo shot me a knife-sharp glance, her eyes filled with disdain. She wore a pink evening gown, moving gracefully like a butterfly in a flower garden, always sporting a standard smile, basking in all the admiring glances, and of course, trying to overshadow me at every possible moment. Oh, isn't this the second young lady the Goo family just welcomed home? First time at a high society party? You can tell by the outfit. A young lady from a prestigious family walked over, her tone gentle yet sarcastic, like rubbing salt in a wound. Lily Goo immediately interjected, pretending to defend me. My sister isn't used to these kinds of occasions, so her attire is a bit simple. Sister Wendy Wang, please don't say that. On the surface, she seemed to be defending me, but in reality she was backstabbing me without missing a beat. I smiled back politely. Sister Wendy, I feel like you're missing an item. The girl looked bewildered, raising her hand to admire her rings, jade, and gold bracelets. I then explained, feigning surprise, "Ah, you're missing a Bagua mirror because you're so skilled at talking about yin-yang Bagua." Wendy Wang was so furious she wanted to lunge at me, but her friend pulled her back. She truly lives up to being a Goo family heiress. Her presence is truly pitiable. Lily, I truly feel sorry for you. Her words weren't vulgar, but her jabs were perfectly aimed. Lily Goo maintained her meek and obedient facade, pressing her lips together and bowing her head, perfectly portraying a bullied little flower. I also replied very sincerely, "Thank you for your compliments, ladies." My overly sincere attitude left the group speechless, like punching cotton, angry but unable to vent. Don't think just because you bear the Goo surname that we have to tolerate you. Here, we only consider Lily our true sister. Someone spoke with malicious intent. It was unclear if she truly supported Lily, but she was clearly adding fuel to the fire. I blinked, sighing sincerely, "Sister, I truly admire you." I turned to look at Lily Goo with a moved expression. "You're truly amazing, able to endure so many ugly things and not say a word, me. If I knew the things you said behind people's backs, I wouldn't be able to hide it." Lily Goo's face changed color. I continued, my voice gradually rising. "Didn't you once say that Miss Lee from that family was as fat as a sow? That Miss Wang's face was covered in freckles without makeup, that Miss Zhao only flaunted wealth and wore fake bags, and Miss Liu was promiscuous and had 3 men fighting over the baby in her womb? The atmosphere around us seemed to freeze. The more I spoke, the more enthusiastic I became. The young ladies around us turned to stone, their faces changing color, their eyes, sharp as daggers, shot directly at Lily Gu. She seemed to wake from a dream, frantically covering my mouth, panicked as if I was about to expose a national secret. No, I didn't say that, truly not me. A second later, the flock of phoenixes turned into a swarm of black crows, attacking her. Well done, Lily Gu, a tongue like a venomous snake, yet still pretending to be innocent. You fake bitch, so it was you talking bad about me behind my back. Disgusting, don't expect anyone to be friends with your kind. It wasn't me, I didn't say it. No one believed her anymore. Lily Gu turned to me, yelling in fury, Clara Gu, how did you know those things? I shrugged, smiling innocently. Oh, I just made them up. Did you think they were real? They were trying to sow discord between us sisters. I was worried you might be lured away, so I exposed them. But look, without even verifying a single word, they've already cut ties with you. I just helped you see their true colors. No need to thank me. Lily Gu choked with rage, her face pale and ashen. Only a few minutes into the party, Lily Gu was already shunned by the entire group of socialites. Though outwardly friendly, the daughters of Beijing's powerful families secretly vied for prominence, each wanting to shine, each wanting to catch the eye of the Fu family's 3rd young master, the brightest candidate for the inheritance. To win his favor would not only mean marrying into a wealthy family, but literally transforming one's life. Lily Gu was no exception, of course. Since learning she was a fake heiress, she had desperately tried to push me out of the Gu family while secretly preparing an escape route for her new future. Even though she hated me so much she gnashed her teeth, in front of outsiders, she still had to maintain her elegant and dignified image, to the point where her face was breaking out with acne from the suppression. Lily, I finally found you, Husky's voice rang out from afar again. Although Kevin Zhao's face wasn't bad, among the elite socialites, he clearly lacked the qualifications. His demeanor was crude, not refined, and his assets weren't top tier, failing to meet Lily's ideal husband standards. After all, there were plenty of other fish in the sea, but at least Kevin Zhao had distant relatives in the Fu family, giving Lily an excuse to approach the 3rd young master. Thinking this, she immediately transformed into a sweet, obedient girl. Honey, why haven't I seen 3rd uncle yet? 3rd uncle, in her mouth, was the most doted-upon member of the Fu family, the mysterious 3rd young master everyone was eagerly awaiting. My 3rd uncle often arrives late, he's probably stuck somewhere, Kevin Zhao said. Honey, is your 3rd uncle young? Is he handsome? Lily asked, adopting a wheedling tone. I think he's handsome and young. Generally, everyone likes him. So, does your 3rd uncle have a girlfriend? I couldn't stand it anymore and cut in. Kevin Zhao, I hear your family runs a family business. Yes, that's right. He was slightly suspicious. So, do you raise chickens? Why do you ask? Because why else would my sister keep clucking whenever she sees you? Cluck, cluck, unending. I looked at Lily, my eyes full of amusement. You're just jealous because Lily likes me. No, I just noticed my sister has been asking only about your 3rd uncle from beginning to end. Because she cares about me, that's why she asks about my relatives, right? Ah, I see. Your family must have another sideline business. What? Selling swords made of cheap iron. I smiled, patting Kevin Zhao on the shoulder as if in sympathy. This was the first time the Fu family had publicly introduced an heir. Needless to say, this banquet gathered the most prominent faces in high society. Everyone was dressed in dazzling, picture-perfect splendor. Lily Gu had also meticulously prepared, every step and gesture exuding her hope of meeting a fated love. As for me, I was secretly searching for my true target. Finally, I saw the person I was looking for. In a corner of the room, a young boy was holding an iPad, playing a game, his mouth spewing out skills, his hands moving like a god. I pretended to sit next to him and joined the game. Wow, are you a pro, sister? Play around with me. Fishing successful. All right, I'll lead you to dominate the map. 1 game, then 2 games, then 5 games. Sister, do you know how to play PUBG? Sort of, I'm only at the conqueror rank. The boy stared at me, filled with utmost admiration. "Sister, can I make you my master?" "No," I shrugged, feigning arrogance. "Please, I'll pay 2,000 for one game you play with me. Should I transfer it via Alipay or WeChat?" The perfect White Lotus script was unfolding. The flawless finale. Who would have thought that this 6 or 7-year-old boy, who was adoringly calling me master, was the third young master that all those socialites dreamed of day and night? It wasn't for nothing that I spent so many nights digging for information, breaking through firewalls, and scrutinizing every frame of a foreign documentary about the Fu family. That little boy only flashed across the screen for 3 seconds, but I recognized him immediately, because he was both handsome and very young. I pulled the boy to a secluded corner, intending to use a few game rounds to foster international friendship, but before I could start, a chill ran down my spine. A full glass of red wine was poured directly over my head, the icy sensation spreading over every inch of my skin. "Oh, my little sister, how could you be so clumsy?" A familiar female voice rang out, both gentle and fake. Lily Gu appeared, holding an empty wine glass, her face innocent as if she had nothing to do with it. I narrowed my eyes at her. "Are you sure I was clumsy, sister?" She laughed coldly, no longer concealing it. "So what if I did it on purpose? Who would see?" From the beginning of the party, I had deliberately dropped a few provocative remarks. I hinted that tonight I would shine, making the whole room clearly distinguish between true pearls and cheap glass. I had also noticed her scrutinizing gaze, always secretly following me. And when I left the hall, she deliberately sent Kevin Zhao away to make it easier to act. This corner was behind a screen, a recess space in the hotel, and just happened to be a camera blind spot. The music was loud, people came and went in a constant stream, no one paid attention to such a small corner. Realizing the time was ripe, Lily Gu decisively shed her gentle mask. "Clara Gu, who do you think you are? So what if you bear the Gu surname? You're just trash from an orphanage. Someone like you isn't even worthy of carrying my shoes. The position of the Gu family's socialite can only be mine. You don't stand a chance," she cursed and hit. She kicked me to the ground, grabbing my dress and tearing it as if pouring out all the pent-up jealousy of the day. The first slap made my head snap, my eyes blurring. She lunged close to my face, baring her teeth in a threat. "Know your place and get lost. If you know how to curry favor with me, I might even throw you some spare change. Otherwise, you'll just be a guard dog." I lay sprawling on the ground, covering my face, trembling with rage. "Lily Gu, aren't you afraid I'll expose you?" She burst out laughing. "Expose me? Who would believe you? Everyone at this party thinks I'm a sweet, innocent girl. They'll say you're sharp-tongued and rude, so you deserve to be taught a lesson. As for me, I'm the virtuous and dignified heiress of the Gu family." Another slap landed, turning the other side of my face crimson. She glanced at the boy standing beside me. The boy she didn't know was the very person everyone at the banquet was eager to meet. "You brat, listen carefully. I am the eldest young lady of the Gu family, and no one here dares to touch me. If you dare to run your mouth, I'll tear it off." The boy trembled, not daring to cry or run away, his face ghostly pale as if about to faint. "Clara Gu, let's see what face you have left to compete with me now. The Fu family's third young master can only be mine." After saying that, she kicked me in the stomach, dusted off her hands as if nothing had happened, then lifted her dress and walked away, her gentle, obedient demeanor perfectly restored. Only I was left, my hair disheveled, my dress disarranged, and the boy standing next to me, his eyes wide with panic, having witnessed everything. I used to think that even if Lily Gu was a bit arrogant, a bit selfish, she was just a spoiled young lady. But witnessing her true face firsthand, I no longer felt even a hint of guilt. Someone like her doesn't deserve to stay in the Gu family. If 2 slaps were all it took to secure long-term peace for the entire family, then it was a bargain. I dragged myself up, tidied my disarranged clothes, and turned to the boy who was still standing there stunned. "What's your name?" Leo Fu." The boy hadn't fully recovered yet. I smiled gently. "Do you like this place? Do you like all these older sisters who are constantly looking for you, circling around, waiting to marry you?" As soon as Leo Fu heard older sisters, he immediately remembered the fierce, vicious woman from earlier, his face turning pale as he shook his head vigorously. "So, do you want to cause some mischief with me? I'll lead you in games and you help me get revenge." I bent down and patted the boy's head, my voice full of enticement. "If not, that's fine too, I won't lose anything." Leo Fu looked at me for a long time, his dark eyes gradually brightening. This third young master, spoiled since childhood, had never been dared to be threatened like that. Earlier, it was fear, but now, recalling it, it was indignation. The boy looked at my wrinkled clothes, my face still bearing red marks, then gritted his teeth and said, "From now on, you're my master. Anyone who bullies you is bullying me. That woman even dared to threaten to tear my mouth off." My second brother once said, "A gentleman's revenge is never too late, even after 10 years. It's not that revenge won't come, it's just not the right time. We have to teach her a lesson. If we can't handle it, I'll call my second brother." His second brother was the famously cold, ruthless, and heartless Daniel Fu. I winked, smiling suggestively. "So, how about we ruin this party together?" The boy excitedly nodded like a chicken pecking at grain. Amidst a sea of elegant dresses, subdued tones like black, white, gray, or pastel pink, I was unique, dazzlingly conspicuous in my vibrant red and green floral dress, exuding a distinct northeastern charm. Step by step, my appearance drew closer from a distance, silencing the entire hall for a few seconds. "Who is that dressed like she's going to a traditional opera?" someone quietly whispered. I walked straight to my mother, flashing a sweet smile. "Mother!" The atmosphere immediately froze. My mother forced a smile and introduced, "This is my daughter, Clara Gu." A madam awkwardly chuckled along. "She truly lives up to being a young lady of the Gu family, such personality." Another tried to save face. "Didn't an international star wear a similar dress on the Cannes red carpet?" To everyone's surprise, Mrs. Fu genuinely laughed and said to my mother, "Is your daughter married? My mother-in-law absolutely adores girls who bring such a cheerful vibe." I had only intended to make Lily Gu a little uncomfortable, never expecting to gain the favor of the Fu family. Indeed, the aesthetic tastes of the wealthy are somewhat peculiar. As soon as Mrs. Fu offered her praise, everyone's gaze immediately shifted. The crowd began to buzz with whispers, but this time, they were filled with goodwill. On stage, Lily Gu was still playing the piano. The piece hadn't even finished, but her complexion had changed incessantly, from white to green, then from green to black. I knew she was definitely screaming internally. "That bitch, how dare she show up? Doesn't she know what shame is? Is Mrs. Fu blind? Praising such a rustic dress? I've been studying piano for 10 years, how can I be outdone by her just because of that ridiculous dress? Sorry, Lily." When it comes to schemes and strategies, I've never lost to anyone. Under the gaze of so many people, Lily Gu couldn't openly show her anger. She could only reluctantly force a smile, trying to maintain her composure as she descended. She pressed her lips together and puffed out her chest, trying to act as if she was still the center of attention. But alas, no one was paying attention to her anymore. All the wealthy ladies were gathered around Mrs. Fu and me. Whether out of curiosity, gossip, or a desire for drama, to them, I, the biological daughter recently found by the Gu family, was clearly far more captivating. Lily Gu gritted her teeth, not daring to act out, but others couldn't easily swallow that insult. For example, that ill-mannered husky Kevin Zhao. "Hey Clara Gu, what kind of act is this? Wearing something like a traditional opera costume, trying to steal Lily's spotlight. You're her sister, how can you bully your own sister like this?" Lily Gu sat nearby, her eyes glistening with tears, feigning extreme grievance but internally applauding. "Well done, my little dog." I subtly flinched, pretending to be weak. Does sister need me to steal her spotlight? Or is it that these discerning guests realized Dream Wedding is just a mediocre, level 4 performance with nothing new? The ladies, hearing this, lightly covered their mouths and chuckled. Kevin Zhao refused to give up, his mouth truly sharp. "If you're so good, then play. You talk about others like that, but can you even perform?" I took another half step back, gently refusing. "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea." "If you have the guts, go on stage. If you have the skills, show it." Husky barked relentlessly. I clicked my tongue, feigning reluctance. "All right then, I suppose I'll obey and won't refuse anymore." Wearing my vibrant floral dress like battle armor, I walked onto the stage and sat down at the piano. I took a deep breath, then raised my hands, pressing my index finger down on a key. Do, re, mi, o, mi, fa, sol, mi, fa, sol. The space fell silent for a few seconds. Ha 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 ha. Clara Gu, what is wrong with you? Wearing ridiculous clothes, clownish makeup, and now making a fool of yourself. Is your face made of reinforced concrete? Kevin Zhao burst into raucous laughter. The ladies looked bewildered. Lily Gu also stopped crying, her face beaming as if about to applaud. But before she could bask in her smugness, I placed both hands on the keys in a proper posture, my movements precise, and the music poured out like a waterfall. Initially, it was a gentle accompaniment, sometimes deep and profound, sometimes soaring and clear. Not until the main melody began did Kevin Zhao's eyes stiffen. What song? It's Grandma Loves Me When I Walk Alone in the Dark Alley. Loves me even without kneeling? The atmosphere in the hall exploded. The melody was too haunting, no one could react in time. And just as everyone was still stunned, a little boy dashed onto the stage and snatched the microphone. His childish yet emotional voice rang out. Walking, is it worthy with this tattered cloak? Fighting or not fighting? For the lowest summer dream, for the screams in the darkest night. No technique, no vocal training, but the emotion was so intense that the sound echoed through the entire hall, making the whole stage feel as if it would explode. Kevin Zhao looked closely, his face frozen, unable to even smile anymore. Lily Gu, meanwhile, turned as white as paper. Wasn't the boy on stage the one who witnessed her hitting me? I continued to play the piano while subtly observing. Lily Gu's complexion was like it had passed through 7 layers of hell, from red to purple, then from purple to a deathly white. She intended to act first to turn the tables. Where are the guards? What kind of job are you doing, letting this kid run onto the stage and cause a disturbance? If you disgrace the Fu family, can you bear the consequences? Quickly, drag him down. Lily Gu eagerly helped, her voice sweet but full of hidden meaning. No, Lily, don't you recognize? Kevin Zhao stammered, about to explain, but Mrs. Fu's slight glance silenced him. Mrs. Fu knew her grandson's temperament well. He wasn't easily rebellious, so she began to feel curious. Lily Gu still hadn't stopped her pretense. And Clara Gu, are you jealous because mother and father love me? But you shouldn't disrupt the Fu family's party like this. Do you know how important the relationship between our 2 families is? This is truly too much. She leaned close to my mother, holding her hand intimately, pretending to scold me out of heartache for her sister. But before she could finish, the boy on stage yelled, "Liar, you evil woman!" The sound from the microphone echoed loudly, shaking the entire hall. Both my mother and Mrs. Fu jumped in surprise. Lily Gu tried to maintain her smile, but the bottom of her eyes revealed clear killing intent, her tone still gentle. Be a good boy, don't talk nonsense, or sister will get angry, okay? I immediately rushed forward, shielding the boy, my voice trembling but firm. Please, sister, please don't hit him, he's just a child. My face was stained, my eyes full of fear, but I still tried to protect the boy. My stiff posture made it seem as though I would collapse with just a slight push. The gazes of the guests below simultaneously changed. Mrs. Fu frowned, her voice cold as ice. Who did you say hit whom? My eyes were red-rimmed, tears threatening to fall but refusing to. I bit my lip tightly, not saying a word, while Lily Gu still looked at me gently, her expression as fleeting as a passing breeze, irritatingly sweet. The Gu family was a prestigious household. Honor came first. Glory shared, shame shared. If one person lost face, the entire family was affected. She knew this weakness well, which was why she dared to pull all sorts of stunts without fearing my exposure. After all, I wouldn't dare publicly reveal the conflict between the true and fake heiresses, fearing it would disgrace the Gu family. It was true I wouldn't dare, but that little boy would. Ha ha ha. The boy tugged at my skirt, stepped onto the podium, grabbed the microphone, and innocently exposed everything. He vividly recounted how, while playing games with me, Lily Gu had rushed in, thrown wine on me, and even threatened to hit both adults and children. He even described it with such vivid detail, portraying her aggressive expression and threatening tone so realistically that the entire hall fell silent. Mrs. Fu, in the guest seating, frowned, and those around her couldn't hide their surprise. My mother even gaped, unable to believe what she was hearing. One had to admit, children nowadays were incredibly articulate. The boy told the story once in Chinese, then rattled it off again in English, making everyone who listened shiver. The boy on stage spoke without pause, while I bowed my head, wiping away tears, feigning distress. I cried while trying to stop him. Please, don't say any more. It's my fault. These things shouldn't be brought up in front of so many people. Mother will be very sad, and the Gu family will lose a lot of face. Don't say anything more, I can bear it. It's not like I was seriously hurt. Sob, sob asterisk. I put on a show of enduring silently, which made everyone who heard it feel sorry for me, but the more they looked, the clearer it became. Although I said, don't tell any more, it was nothing less than a tacit admission that everything was true. Lily Gu's face turned purple with rage. She rushed onto the stage, shoved me hard, snatched the microphone from the boy's hand, and yelled, "Nonsense! All lies! Clara Goo, where did you find this brat to harm me? You dare pull such crazy stunts in front of everyone? Do you want a beating? Say one more word and I'll really hit you." As soon as she finished, she raised her hand to hit the boy, but as her hand went up, it was firmly grabbed by a strong hand. "Who's there? Let go of me," Lily Goo gasped in alarm. She tried to pull her hand away but found her wrist gripped as if in an iron clamp, the pain bringing tears to her eyes. A deep, cold voice rang out. "Dare to hit my brother? Are you tired of living?" That icy tone even made me shiver. Just then, Mrs. Fu, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Dare to lay a hand on my son? Truly audacious." She then lightly waved her hand, and the boy ran down. "Allow me to introduce," Mrs. Fu said coolly. "This nameless brat that Miss Gu just mentioned is my son, Leo Fu." The entire hall fell silent. Kevin Zhao stood nearby, looking at the tiny boy, his eyes casting a knowing glance at Lily Gu, then respectfully calling out, "Greetings, third young master." Lily Gu's eyes seemed to be about to burst. "No way! This child is the Fu family's third young master? Impossible! How could the Fu family's third young master be a child? How could it be such a coincidence? Who would have thought that the most doted-upon young master of the Fu family was the very boy she had just tried to hit? It was over. This time, it was truly over. Lily Gu's entire body trembled with panic, her eyes filled with bitter hatred for me, as if she wanted to skin me alive right there. Not only Mrs. Fu, but my mother and everyone present also changed color. Daring to hit someone in such a crowded place, and even threatening the young master of the Fu family, even the Gu family couldn't bear the consequences. The man who had just held Lily Gu's hand, the one who nearly crushed her wrist, now casually released her, then wiped away the marks and walked towards me. "Are you all right?" I looked up, feeling a bit dizzy. I had never seen anyone so handsome. Could this be the legendary, cold, ruthless business genius, the second young master of the Fu family? I held my composure for a moment, of course. It was an act. I had prepared everything meticulously. How could I not know who the notoriously doting older brother, Daniel Fu, was? But at this moment, all I needed was to play the role of a frail little flower, battered and bullied. Lily Gu stood on stage, her limbs weak, so terrified she nearly collapsed. Having offended the Fu family, the Gu family would no longer protect her. Kevin Zhao, though wary of Daniel Fu, still couldn't believe the girl he loved would hit someone and throw wine. He suspected I was playing tricks, so he mustered all his courage to plead on Lily Gu's behalf. Daniel Fu merely cast a contemptuous glance at him. "Do you not see the handprint clearly marked on her face, or are you implying my brother fabricated the story?" At this moment, everyone finally noticed my face. Although I had tried to conceal it with makeup, one side of my cheek was visibly swollen and red. My mother immediately rushed over, her voice trembling with anger and concern. "How did she hit you?" I lowered my head, biting my lip and remaining silent, as if enduring humiliation for the Gu family's honor. That scene made the crowd pity me even more. One person was sensible, understanding, enduring for the greater good, while the other was cunning, vicious, and ruthless in her methods. All eyes gradually turned to Lily Gu, filled with hatred and contempt. "This is the daughter the Gu family raised for 20 years. I heard she was an adopted child, but it turns out she's a fake heiress. I'd advise the Gu couple. Blood ties are profound. Even if you raise someone for decades, they're still an outsider." Daniel Fu hit precisely on Lily Gu's greatest fear. My parents' faces darkened as if ink had been spilled, both ashamed and in agreement with his words. If they couldn't nurture her, then they should let go. They exchanged glances, no words spoken, but their eyes provided the answer. Seeing my parents' gazes, Lily Gu's face immediately changed. She understood the meaning of that look perfectly. Disappointment, abandonment. In an instant, she sank to the ground, tears welling in her eyes. "I know I was wrong, Clara. I shouldn't have dreamed of things that don't belong to me. From the moment you returned, I knew I had to make way, but I truly couldn't bear it. Couldn't bear to leave mother and father, I couldn't." As she spoke, she glanced at Kevin Zhao, her voice trembling with grievance. "We grew up together, how could you be so heartless? I know I was wrong. I really shouldn't have been so greedy and tried to snatch things." She cried so hard her body trembled in spasms, tears falling like rain, her eyes still fixated on Kevin Zhao as if she wanted to say something but couldn't, which only made people easily speculate wildly. It must be said, Lily Gu was truly skilled. With just a few short words, she transformed the bullying incident into jealousy, switched roles from perpetrator to victim, encapsulating the entire event within a scenario of two Gu sisters fighting over Kevin Zhao. Kevin Zhao watched her crying like a pear blossom in the rain, his temples twitching continuously with pity. As for me, I honestly didn't know whether to laugh because she was foolish or to thank her for inadvertently pushing the entire Zhao family into the mud and personally severing her own last retreat. Then little Liufu ran out, pressed his smartwatch, and played a recording before all the guests. Lily Gu's voice rang out clearly. "You bitch! If you know what's good for you, you'll obediently bow your head. The Gu family's heiress can only be me. As long as you're willing to lick my shoes, if I'm happy, I might even bestow a few loose change from my fortune upon you." The hall fell silent. My father coldly stated, "The Gu family has no daughter like you." Kevin Zhao was also stunned. "I don't know a Lily Gu like this." Lily Gu was expelled from the Gu family. She had plotted for their assets, harmed the true heiress, and even offended the Fu family, the leading financial magnates. Unless the entire Gu family lost their minds, no one would dare keep a child who was not of their blood, had a manipulative heart, and was so short-sighted. I sat eating grapes, leisurely watching her cry hysterically, her hair disheveled like a madwoman. From the butler to the servants, no one bothered to feel pity anymore, merely standing far away and watching with cold eyes. She wailed and caused a huge commotion throughout the house. In the end, my parents didn't even bother to show their faces, directly instructing the butler to pack her belongings and throw both her and her luggage out. "Clara Gu, you bitch, I'll fight you to the death." She lunged at me, intending to hit me, but with a slight turn, I easily threw her off balance, making her stumble and fall. Slap, slap. "This slap is for you, and as for the wine glass, I won't bother spilling it anymore." I smiled, still maintaining my weak and obedient exterior, but the coldness in my eyes terrified her. Lily Gu's cheeks immediately swelled red, her face distorted like a pig's head. No matter how much she struggled, she couldn't escape. At this moment, she trembled as she realized that the weak white flower of her imagination was, in fact, a thorny flower, both insidious and terrifying. After that commotion, with nowhere else to go, she had no choice but to run to the Zhao family's house, a family she had once disdained. But because she had previously used the Zhao family as a shield, Kevin Zhao's parents now detested her to the bone, refusing to let her set foot in their house. If it weren't for Kevin Zhao still holding onto a bit of old affection, she would surely have been thrown out. Who knew that after being sheltered by her old flame, Lily Gu would then fantasize about the Fu family's second young master, a powerful, cold, and sculpted handsome man. It made sense, of course. His eyes were sharp as knives, his nose high, his lips thin and ascetic. He had a tall, slender figure with long legs, more handsome than any model. Most importantly, he was super rich. And so, her old illness recurred. At a family banquet between the Zhao and Fu families, she got Kevin Zhao drunk, then at the opportune moment, intercepted Daniel Fu, sobbing out a tragic tale while feigning adoration and confessing to the second young master. Who would have thought that as she turned, she would see Kevin Zhao, who should have been too drunk to know anything, standing there frozen, his eyes filled with disappointment. Daniel Fu patted Kevin Zhao's shoulder and said bluntly, "I told you, but you wouldn't believe me." This time, no matter how many tears Lily Gu shed or how hoarse her voice became, Kevin Zhao's heart wouldn't soften anymore. He coldly kicked her out of the house without hesitation. How do I know this story? Because afterward, Kevin Zhao cried to me like an idiot. I heard that Lily Gu had found her biological parents. People capable of giving birth at a high-end hospital like the old Gu families were naturally not common folk. It was just a pity that later, their family fell on hard times, collapsing due to gambling, and even gave birth to another son. Lily Gu hadn't been home with her biological parents for long before falling into a miserable state. Kevin Zhao recounted that at first, she borrowed money to pay her biological father's debts. Later, she discovered she was merely a money tree and fled. Who knew her father and younger brother found her and beat her half to death? A young lady born with a silver spoon, accustomed to fine food and clothes, how could she endure such a situation? She sought help from Kevin Zhao again. By then, Kevin Zhao was completely sober and didn't want to get involved with that bottomless pit anymore. But he still gave her a sum of money as a final severance. Who knew she immediately took the money to lavish on handsome men, only to be swindled clean? Without money, Her biological parents started cursing and beating her again, and their house was a constant marketplace of quarrels. In the end, she returned to pester Kevin Zhao. It was a pity that this time, Kevin Zhao had grown a backbone. "Today, I want to apologize to you," Kevin Zhao said to me. "Before, I always listened to Lily Gu, and I was wrong to treat you unfairly." "It's all right, you didn't gain anything from me anyway," I shrugged, feigning magnanimity. Kevin Zhao suddenly felt as though he was being scorned. I brought over all the designer items Lily Gu had made him buy, placed them in front of him, and then seriously apologized. "It was my fault for using your money to buy these things. Now I'm returning them all. You can sell these old items, you might get a little something, though I doubt anyone would want these ugly things." Kevin Zhao's eye twitched, then he yelled, "Clara Gu?" And with that, he chased after me, shouting for half a block. See, this is his true nature. Why be gloomy? A husky should be lively, though it's a bit draining on my energy. "Now that you're back with the Gu family and are the rightful heiress, what do you plan to do next?" Kevin Zhao asked hesitantly. He both detested Lily Gu and feared I would exact excessive revenge. I glared at him. "I'm not that idle. I plan to donate a sum to the orphanage, help my parents manage the business, and simultaneously engage in charity, especially supporting cases of abducted children." Kevin Zhao fell silent. He probably knew my background well. Switched at birth as a child, then kidnapped, my adoptive parents died young, and I grew up in an orphanage, a true white cabbage in a tragic story. How about you collaborate with my second uncle? Besides being a businessman, he's a prominent figure in the IT world and can greatly assist in combating human trafficking. This offer was not insignificant. Daniel Fu's brilliance far surpassed imagination, as if heaven had taken all the intelligence Kevin Zhao lacked and poured it into this second young master. We had a strangely good rapport. Our conversations revolved around charity and child protection, giving us many opportunities to interact and understand each other better. What I admired most was that he had independently researched and developed an AI-powered child facial recognition system, creating a huge breakthrough in the fight against human trafficking. Every day, I had to face a universe-level handsome man. I just wanted to look up at the sky and scream. Brother wasn't a brother, but a spring river by a lotus pond. He didn't have a back, but a blooming rose in the winter sky of Bulgaria. He didn't have a waist, but the gently curved blade of a soul-snatching assassin in the night. Save me, I'm dying. Stop drooling. Daniel Fu didn't bother to look up from his keyboard, still absorbed in his work. It's not drool, it's a runny nose. The weather's just too cold. I replied with a straight face, but my ears were flushed red. So you do get shy? You were so brave at the party the other day. He propped his chin, narrowing his eyes teasingly. I blinked, puzzled. Provoking, feigning pitifulness, and even using your brother to force the Fu family to act on my behalf, is that not considered brave? Finally, he chuckled. I looked up at him in surprise. So he had known everything back then, yet said nothing. Truly a profound person, silently watching me play out my entire drama, knowing everything. Thinking of this, I didn't bother to conceal anything anymore, shrugging and stating. But she really did hit me, she really did humiliate me, and she really dared to raise her hand to hit even Leo. No one knows the years of my wandering childhood, being tormented and betrayed, taught me how to survive in the shadows. I learned to hide my emotions, to calculate, to be patient, and to feign perfectly. A few years ago, I used computer technology and the DNA data the Gu couple had left behind to determine my true identity. But I still waited patiently, waited until I was strong enough, capable enough not to be pushed aside again. Only then did I accidentally reveal clues, orchestrating a perfectly planned return. I am indeed a white lotus, but the kind that grows in a swamp, black to its core. Now, I don't even bother pretending anymore. To my surprise, Daniel Fu nodded slightly, as if he had seen through everything. So you're both brave and cunning. I watched him let out a soft laugh. That's right. Someone stole 20 years of my life, yet still dared to plot against me, humiliate me, and expect me to meekly forgive her to maintain the image of a virtuous socialite. Ah, sorry, I've never been a good person. And fortunately, Daniel Fu wasn't exactly a saint either. Oh no, I think I'm starting to like him. Recently, Husky No, Kevin Zhao, for some reason went crazy and kept coming to the Gu family home every day. Sometimes he'd just come to argue with me, other times he'd be red-faced and secretly bring gifts. I felt something was very wrong. After much probing, he finally confessed. It turned out that the Zhao and Gu families had an old engagement. Back then, he was determined to marry Lily Gu. Now that she was expelled from the house, his parents had brainwashed him into fulfilling the commitment, and the new object was me. I couldn't believe that the emotion he thought was love was just him being pushed back and forth by adults like a spinning top. So now he kept hovering, trying to gauge my feelings. "Don't bother wondering." Daniel Fu's voice suddenly echoed behind me. "She's your second aunt." Kevin Zhao stammered. Daniel Fu looked at me, calmly asking, "So do you like me?" His tone was as indifferent as ever, but his hand was clasped so tightly that his nails dug deep into his skin. Watching him, my heart melted like vermicelli. He was so adorable I could die. I tried to suppress a laugh and teased, "Probably not, right?" He glared at me, swallowed, and thought carefully. I burst out laughing, then turned to Kevin Zhao and called out, "Second aunt, listen up." As soon as the words left my mouth, both men froze. Daniel Fu blushed, truly blushed, from his neck all the way to his ears, as red as if he'd been roasted. Was this really the decisive second young master, the famously cold-faced king of hell? Who would have thought such a cold, powerful man could be this adorable? Oh no, I liked him even more now. 3 years after returning to the Gu family, I got married. Leo Fu and Kevin Zhao, yes, that 6-foot-tall guy, were my co-groomsmen and flower tossers. Kevin Zhao grumbled about not wanting to do it, but in the end, he obediently held his nephew's hand, showering the aisle with petals. When I exchanged rings, he cried so hard he lost all composure. For the first time in my life, I didn't need to scheme, didn't need to brace myself for a battle of wits, didn't need to pretend to be strong. Because now, there was someone willing to stand behind me, protecting me from everything. Beside Daniel Fu, I could be the most ill-tempered, wild, and stubborn version of a white lotus and still be loved. It turned out that being truly loved felt this wonderful.